well, no one sat me down. I think we're a similar age. No one sat me down at school and said, "Oh, do you think wine might be a good career choice? There'll be travel, there'll be writing, there'll be tasting, there'll be lovely meals." No, they didn't. There was about two different options, and both of them completely boring.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
Yeah!
Yes, this particular podcast that I do, well, my Flock and Hive podcast is only launched in March. I have done one before in the past, but yeah, this one's brand new. Yeah.
So the Helena Sips, you've done everything from TV, radio, YouTube, podcasts, everything with regards to the Helena Sips.
Yes. And Flock and Hive is my new offshoot brand of that, where I'm taking the passion for booze and just building on it with more things all around the art of living. So yeah, I'm from England. And so a lot of the publications that I write for and the radio stations I go on, etc., are English mostly.
How cool is that? How much fun has that been? Just like, I don't know, where were you before, like 20 years ago?
Well, I was in booze 20 years ago. I've been working with wine, especially for about 24 years, and it started with buying and selling it, and then running tastings. But as a frustrated actress, I wanted to bring my drama school skills to my new script, which was wine and spirits, basically. And so I started running tastings and then doing a little bit more radio and TV and trying to come up with ideas to get booze on screen more.
Okay. So you just mentioned actress.
Yeah.
So that's like something from your past. You used to do some acting over in England, in the UK?
Yeah, I did. Much to my parents' horror, I just always wanted to be an actress. I think it was because I was a middle child and just wanted to be seen. So that was kind of my first itch. But while I was doing that, because I didn't have many friends and family in the industry, I needed to have another job, as most actors do. So I made sure my second job was in a wine shop where I'd learned something, and so I could do something alongside the acting in case that all fell down, which it did eventually. Well, I chose wine, let's put it that way.
And that's excellent, because no matter what happens in our life, we tend to, at this point in our journeys, have tried multiple different things that, even though we may have a passion for them, they may not work out the way we had envisioned them. And sometimes it's the best thing that didn't happen for us that put us in the absolute spot that we should be in.
It's so worth remembering that, isn't it? I had a real crossroads moment where I had to choose one day between wine and acting. It was literally, I got offered two things for one day. One was a lead in an Edinburgh show, but for no money, not even expenses. And the other was a full-time job at a wine magazine. And literally, I had to decide that day. But if I took the wine job, it meant that I'd have to say goodbye to my agent, and that would be it, because I wouldn't be able to go to auditions. And I, I had to have quite a lot of therapy about that moment as well, because I chose that. And, I wondered, I had periods of regretting that later. And then I've done a lot of soul searching about it. And I've come out at exactly that point, was actually, I'm really grateful that I didn't choose that, because it's forced me in a completely new direction that I am now so happy with. And I'm combining both elements of performance and the subjects I'm passionate about, and in the best way. And I'm not relying on anyone else to do it, which is brilliant.
That's a big reason why I think a lot of people nowadays are going into this whole realm of YouTube, social media, podcasting. We are from a generation where none of this was a thing growing up. We didn't have this as an outlet. We didn't have this as an educational tool. We didn't have this as an outlet. And the more and more that I dive into this and have conversations with people like yourself, the reality of this becoming a means to become your own boss is so very possible that there are still some people out there that kind of put their nose up to it. But it's like, if you think about how many people sit at home watching their laptops, and it's not even laptops anymore. You can put this up on your TV on a massive 72-inch flat screen and be able to learn, be able to share. And it's it's so not unfathomable to create a career and create a happy life through giving whatever it is that your genre might be that you're successful at.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you, and I think it's a gift to be able to get to that stage, to be able to take that jump and do it by yourself, and to have the guts just to give it a try, because things that start very small can escalate very quickly if you're really passionate about something, which I think a lot of people like yourself who are doing podcasts are.
It's and it's not a misconception, because a lot of people, when they hear the word, passionate, and they're doing their passion, I don't know what my passion is. It takes time to develop it, and you have to try many different things. You may be in something right now that you're passionate about, but it might not be working out the way in which you want it to, which is fine, because everything that you put forth effort into is an opportunity to learn something from it. And what you're passionate about now, and I use what I do for a living as an example. I've been a cook, call it a chef, whatever you want to label cooking for people is. I've been doing this since I was 14 years old. I'm 46 years. And for the past almost 17 now, I've been doing that in the private sector on people's yachts. Now, I thought my whole life, my passion was cooking, changing people's emotion through food. And I get a lot of fulfillment and a lot of gratitude when dinner's over and the people are very forthcoming with compliments about what they just ate. But it wasn't until I started doing YouTube, not even the podcast, starting YouTube 3 years ago, that I was like, oh, this is so interesting. I know nothing about this stuff, but I'm getting some enjoyment out of it. And when I got into podcasting, I realized that sharing my life with other people and just being who I am, like 100%, and giving to other people, I was like, cooking is secondary to that now. Which is so strange, because more than half my life has been cooking. I've only been podcasting for over 1 year now. And this gives me way more fulfillment, way more, like, I look forward to sitting down and having conversations with people, and the level of energy that I have after a recording is like way more than anything else I've ever received. How have you dealt with the changing of your passions?
Well, that's just it, because I've had some very strong goals that I've set, sort of career goals that I've had, that have been based on my passions in the past, but especially in the last couple of years. And I know it's an age thing. It's definitely a 40s thing when you start questioning everything. I have been asking myself, are my passions changing just because I don't think I'm going to achieve those goals anymore? Am I giving up? Am I just sort of giving myself an excuse to be a bit crap? Or actually, is it quite a big thing to say, I don't want those things anymore? Is it all right to do that? And I've been really thinking about that a lot, because what struck me when you mentioned that earlier was that I used to say, my frustrated actress head, my middle child head, was like, my ultimate goal for wine would be, well, ironically, to be invited on to Strictly Come Dancing. I don't know if you know that show. You have Dancing with the Stars. It's very similar.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just slightly different formats. Because if I were to be invited on that, it would be because I'd done so well. I'd got such a great reputation. I'd basically become famous enough because I was good at what I did with wine. And, that for years, that was like my ultimate goal, and after a bit more telly, I'm, not that far off it for the UK, to be honest. But I don't think I want it anymore. And I'm trying to work out whether it's because I think I'm a bit old now and they probably wouldn't want to ask me and I'd be a bit tired. Or actually, do I care less? Have I actually, in my 40s, found some things that excite me more than the thing I've been doing all my life? Which is why, Flock and Hive now exists, because I'm exploring other areas.
So I will say this to that. Age is not a thing at all to me anymore when it comes to what you want to do in life. I try to express what I do for people of all ages, 18 to 65, because I believe that it's never too late. If you wake up, another day, you have an opportunity to do whatever it is that you want to do. The idea of, for that aspect of, I agree with you, because what I want out of life now is completely different than what I wanted a year ago, 10 years ago, and so on. I'll use this as if Betty White was still alive, she would still be invited on those shows. So it's not the age. It's absolutely when you become genuinely the individual you're supposed to become and become so successful at living your life in the genres that you've chosen is when those opportunities show up. That's my belief. So changing the passion, I don't think it's giving up on anything. You are 100% right. As human beings continue on through their journey and earn the years that they have, we question everything. A 17-year-old does not think about what's going to happen tomorrow. You're just thinking about how much fun you're having today. You're not even thinking about what does all this mean? What's time and space? As we get into and absolutely in your 40s, you start dissecting every aspect of everything that's around you. That's how I got to where I am now. I spend all my time, whether it's scrolling or researching on things that I'm asking those questions. What if, why, how? And I'm no longer thinking about all the other things. I'm not chasing after the Ferrari. Be nice to have one, to have that excess money that you can spend on a vehicle like that. But I'm chasing after the mind of peace that allows me to create the financial abundance that I can do this all the time. So there's nothing wrong. Like, and again, in 10 years from now, when myself and the podcast are so unbelievably visibly successful, there will also be so many other YouTube pages that Lyfe Choyces produces, or myself, the Birdman, is doing a cooking show. There's so many, because I'm aware that my passions will grow and change into different genres that I want to be part of. And the biggest thing, I think, when you get into that age of realizing that you want to learn for your benefit, there's so many things you can learn about. Like, we just had this conversation before we started recording this. I'm trying to figure out how to use this platform, Riverside, because I've never done it before, right? But like, the whole morning today that I was setting this up before going to the gym, in the past, I'd be so frustrated, couldn't figure out anything. I would be getting so, and now I'm so calm. And in my head, there's one thought: you're going to learn how to use this platform. Because of meeting yourself and having to go on to Riverside, I'm now given the opportunity to learn a new platform where I now am going to be able to reach so many more guests by being able to use this platform. So your mind switches every year, and the learning aspect of doing something new that you can become passionate about. What an opportunity.
Oh my God. I am so with you there. And I love the reframing of the frustration to the learning opportunity. In fact, yeah, I'm so for that. I never used to know anything about the Stoics. I still don't know that much about the Stoics. I don't know if you're sort of into
100%.
Stoics.
100%.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Great. But their whole ethos was, it's all about learning. Life is all about continuing that learning journey, whatever it may be. And if you can combine the things you're passionate about, or you don't even know you're passionate about yet, but just your mind is open, then that is one way to define your own art of living. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with Flock and Hive. I want an opportunity and an excuse just to learn, keep learning about everything and anything that makes this world so weird and wonderful.
I love how you put that, weird and wonderful, because this whole reality that we live in, and I'm becoming into the strong belief that we can create our own, I say this so regularly, we have the power to create our own reality, to the point where I literally am living the reality that I wanted a year ago. Because I get to, at times, and my job takes me away out of the country quite often. There's multiple days in a row that I get to sit in my studio, talk to people, and create content that I believe is going to be one day very helpful for a lot of people. So
Right.
You can't deny that Stoic theology isn't a truth, because I think it's Marcus Aurelius that basically talked mostly about like living today. And I said this the other episode. Mark Twain said, the things you worry about tomorrow, 90% never happen.
Right.
And like everything that we're saying, again, these are not new ideologies. They've been there, like we're saying, the Stoics, fucking millennials ago, were saying these things. And we're fortunate enough that we now have these platforms that we didn't have when we were 15 to reach literally millions and billions. There's 8 point something billion people on this rock. And we now have a platform that we can take the same ideology that they were talking about that are only in books. That's the only way you could find out about it back in like 1980 was in a book, and send the same message out in our own way to millions of people in hopes that we can all together create a better energy and vibration worldwide, that we're all about learning and helping. But I think it does take you a few decades or maybe a few times around this rock before you can get to the point of being able to share that with people.
Yes, yes. With age comes that sort of blind, I'm just going to do it anyway sort of thought, isn't it? Doesn't it? Yeah. You need the life experience, I think, to get to that point.
It's scary to put yourself out on that edge of that rock, on that mountain, to go after something that's a bit uncertain and unsure, and also in an area in which there, as much as this is great, it can be bad because there's so many people out there that can rip you down and tear you apart.
I think the beautiful thing that does come with age is that you do care less about what people think. And yes, people will be up for tearing you down, but you kind of, you know yourself a little better than you do in your 20s. So actually you're kind of prepared for it. And I had quite a rough ride as a woman in wine, but I've had a lot of people trying to sort of tear me down. Mostly men, weirdly, in the wine trade, mostly people trying to communicate because they sort of saw it was quite a crowded space. And so I really had to grow a thick skin. And I think that's where acting helped, actually, because, you know, there are a lot of knockbacks, stuff you don't get as an actress. And I think that really helped. But there were a couple of times when I was like, really, do I want to be in an industry that is this cruel? What am I going to do about it? Either I'm just going to go, thank you for the learning opportunity. Thank you for teaching me that actually you wouldn't be that upset if I wasn't doing something right, because I'm pressing a button here and it's because you're worried about my success. I'm just going to continue doing that. And you're not my audience anyway. So I'm now in my dotage quite grateful for the haters and for the tough times. But it took a while to get there. It was painful.
And that's a good message for people, is to understand, and it's widely out there on these platforms, those who are successful, is letting people know that those haters are always going to be there. You're always going to come across the people trolling through the internet to say shit to you, but look at it as a way to kind of invoke a bit more fuel to the fire for yourself. And don't take it personally, because it's not. That you have to have that self-confidence within yourself to just know that you're a good human being and you're trying to do good out here. And there will always be the crowd or audience that are hating on you. But again, like you said, that's not who you're directing your information to. That's not who you're directing your message to. It's the other people that genuinely appreciate what you're doing. And after a while, because it takes some time to get that traction, you'll get a like, you'll get a comment. And even if only one a month, you know, that one comment is like, oh, wow, that person really enjoyed what we did. So it's those little things. I took a trip around the world in 2016 that most people in the Life Choices land knows about. And I made my way up to Scotland, to my favorite Scotch, which is in a town which its name is 𝐿CY&x. And I went on a tour in the 𝐿CY&x distillery. And we here at Life Choices celebrate zero fucks giving as a regular holiday every day. And having that ability, I believe when I look back at my life with positivity, it started on this tour because I don't know this lady's name. If she's out there watching, I would love for her to reach out to me. I was 38 and this woman was, I think, entering her 50s or in her early 50s. And we had a couple of scotches at the end of the tour and we had a conversation, and she expressed to me that, like, you know, are you enjoying your 30s? I said, honestly, they've been the best years of my life. And she said, just wait till you hit your 40s. You're going to start caring less about what people think about you and say about you. And when you get to your 50s, you're really not going to give a fuck about what you do. Like from the aspect of how you wear your hair, what you wear. And when I think about how I celebrate Zero Fucks Giving, it goes back possibly to that moment with that lady, because I've always thought about that and I've always shared that story, because I am truly at a point in my life, which I never thought I would be at. I don't give a fuck what other people are saying, thinking, or doing about me. Because if they're not positive about what I'm doing, they're not my audience. They're not
Right.
my people. And I'm going to wear what I'm comfortable in. I'm not here to impress anybody except for my inner self. And what I do to make that person happy is what matters to me. So I wear what I want. I talk how I want. I am who I want. People are going to like it, love it, or leave it.
I absolutely love that. Can I celebrate that holiday as well? Did you say is it
100%.
every day? Zero
Every
fucks.
day. Zero Fucks Giving. It's a daily holiday.
I'm going to have that put on a t-shirt.
But it makes sense. They're like, we all, those of us who can admit the things we've done in our life that we, I don't want to say regret, but we wish we hadn't. There's very few people that I think weren't bullied as a younger person. It seems that there was more of us out there than there were bullies, but yet the bullies had the power. And I can fully admit, like, even into my early 30s, I would just getting ready to go out to the bar or the pub, right? Just a couple of drinks with a friend. I would change my outfit more than once. I would worry about if I'm getting into a car with windows down and if my hair was going to look good when I got to the bar. Like, these are the dumb thoughts in my head that I wasted my energy on. And by giving the information to other people, by saying, yes, I was one of those people that cared too much about what other people thought about me. As soon as you let go of that, you are able to live your life and with happiness.
Don't
It's
you need... Sorry, go on.
no, go ahead.
So don't you need to have experienced giving that fuck, though, to be able to not give it later, because you really appreciate the deliciousness of not giving it?
I'll go with yes for that, because I don't know any other way, because I did feel that, right? So I don't
Right.
know what it would have been like to not have given a fuck. Because I do know some people that in my younger years gave off the impression that they didn't, because I obviously like aspired to kind of get that trait from them, but maybe they were just wrapping it up a little differently. So it seemed like they didn't care. But absolutely, I think it's with anything, like we have to appreciate the rain to really understand how happy we are with the sun.
Right.
It's a cliche, but it's absolutely true. And excuse me, the level of gratitude that I have on a daily basis for everything that I went through as a child, whether it was good or bad, it has molded me into the person that sits here now. And I do a thing every night where I reflect on my day. And every couple of days, I reflect on my life. I don't worry about the past anymore, because I truly am living in the present. However, I take solace on all those things that had happened to me back then, because I still try today to learn a lesson from all of the things that I looked at as negatives when I was younger, so that I may bring them up in these conversations in hopes to help someone who is young right now. Shout out to my little nephew, Caleb. That kid watches like every single one of my TikToks, like every single one of them. I love it. Right. And I'm going to get emotional, but when I go home to visit the family, I mean, first off, this kid is wearing like the tank top I gave him with the Life Choices on it. And he tells me like things that he has learned from the podcast that he watches. And I'm like, if I can reach more children, and I'm sorry to say children, he is under the age of 17 right now. And if sharing my life's experiences can help a 15-year-old navigate through the toughness of what it is to be around other 15-year-olds, check mark, I'm successful.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love the sound of that. I've got 2 young kids too, and I'm really feeling the responsibility to unteach them certain things. I'm definitely trying to get my girls to journal. In fact, they do quite a lot, and just to reflect on good things that happen. We have a little thing at dinner time, which like just one good thing that happened today, and it could be something really, really small, but just to remind them, because you know what that does to your brain, just to just be reminding yourself constantly. And I'm always trying to tell them just to whatever if they're upset before bed, whatever that might be, the last thing to try and think about are 3 beautiful things about the day, no matter how small they were as well. So, and because I really do believe that can shift your mind massively, just those tiny little practices. Because we had this whole Lyfe move recently, there was a lot of negativity flooding from the kids, and so it felt like a more of a balanced way to do it back. But yeah, I absolutely see that there is value in that. Less so with the young ones right before bed, just because they'll want to talk about it and they get upset, and then they can't sleep. Whereas us as adults can probably think about that in a more logical, let's put it to bed way.
We can compartmentalize better.
Yes, I envisage little drawers. I don't know who it was. It was probably someone quite famous who said you should do this. Like, especially if there's something on my mind, but I know I'm going to need to have a sleep. It's just like, I know that drawer is going to be there the next day. I'm not going to forget about it. So I'm just going to put that up there, that one there, and I'll just remember in the morning, I'll just open them. And it's really helped doing that, actually. I don't ruminate as much as I used to.
But visualization to me is a very, very huge thing. So I'm glad you brought that up. Is there anything specific when we're talking about practices that you might do now that you never thought you would do before in order to maintain that level of higher vibrating energy?
Yes, what I never used to do, and it sounds like it's a lot in line with what you do. I visualize a lot. What I could get better at is actually looking back and congratulating myself on the small things, not in a self-congratulate, I'm so wonderful kind of way, but just, as humans, we're very good at just brushing off the good stuff and the bad stuff sticks. But the little wins, we need to appreciate and acknowledge all the little wins. I need to be better at that. But the visualization stuff is huge. So this time last year, I wasn't living in this house. I wasn't doing exactly what I'm doing now. And actually, if I think about where I am now and the titles I'm writing for and where the podcast is going, it is exactly what I sat down and I visualized and I wrote down and I spent a long time thinking about. And it's happening already. It's happening. I mean, there are phases to this journey, but it's a good reminder speaking to you that I just need to continue to do that, because now I'm so busy doing it. I really could take more time daily to think about where I am now and where I want to be, and appreciate where I am now more than anything as well. So yes, more writing, more visualization, more dreaming.
Being present is something that I've been mentally and physically practicing even more and stronger on a daily basis now, to appreciate the process that I'm going through. Because I say this often, I know where Life Choices is going. Like, it really chokes me up, because I say this so often that there's going to be so many people in 10 years that are going to be like, you got to watch this episode on, he literally said he was going to do that. So I don't want to miss out on the enjoyment of today, Thursday, May 30th, because I know I'm going to be on such a high energy after I get off from recording this episode before going into the next one I record this afternoon. So I want to appreciate the moment that I had talking to another individual that is reminding me that, yes, busy right now doing all this stuff. And in this moment, in this process, I'm creating what's going to happen in 10 years from now. And that's an enormous feeling. Like, I want everyone to feel that feeling of enjoyment in your own life in the moment that it's actually happening.
Yes, and not rushing it. And it
Nope.
that is the ultimate goal, isn't it? It's to be present while creating for the future, and to be grateful for that and content.
You had mentioned time. We do tend to give the excuse of, I don't have enough time in a day. And that I find is a bunch of bullshit. How many of those hours are you productive on doing what you're supposed to do? I'm not saying just focus on making the podcast. In those 17 or 18 hours that you've given yourself to be productive, did you do the things that are going to help you get there? Did you meditate? Did you journal? Did you spend time with your dog, your cat? Did you talk to a friend and tell them that you love them because you appreciate them in your life? Did you go to the gym? Did you go for a walk? All of these things together create that success 10 years from now. So for me, I try to take advantage of every hour I have. Not always. I'm a human. I get lazy. And sometimes I just scroll for an hour, or sometimes I take a 30-minute nap instead of a 20-minute nap. But realizing you have the opportunity to take advantage of the time you have and not say the excuse, I don't have time today. Make the time. Because if you make the time today, that goal 10 years from now is going to show up possibly in 8 years. I want to thank you very much for not only showing up today, but for showing me how to use Riverside. So thank you. And no, Riverside's not sponsoring this. It's just my first time using it. So if Riverside wants to sponsor either one of us, we're ready for it. But thank you so much for showing up. I look forward to our friendship growing in the future and being on each other's podcasts and any other venture that we might jump into in this journey of ours. So thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having me. See you next time.
And so for all of our walkers out there in the Life Choices land, thank you very much for coming out each and every week watching us here. We'll see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. on the Life Choices podcast. Much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.